Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, families, and pets, I present to you Jewelpet, Our Love Story, narrated by Rinko Kugyoku. Part 5, The Most Depressing Day.
Ruby was still in her workroom when I woke up this morning. "Have you been up all night, Ruby?" I asked.
"No, I went to sleep, and the needle and thread stitched all by themselves,"
she said. "Hadn't you better go to bed now?" I suggested. "You look awful, Ruby."
"Any compliments gratefully received. Go and make yourself a pot of tea, Rinko, and then get yourself off to school."
I boiled the kettle and searched in the pantry for something to give Ruby for breakfast. There was just the heel off the loaf left, one egg, an onion and a few patates and carrots. I boiled the egg, toasted the bread, made tea, and set it all on a tray. "Here you are, Ruby," I said, nudging the door open. I hope she'd be pleased with me. Ruby was sitting bolt upright, but her head was, her eyes closed. "Ruby? Ruby, are you awake?" I called. She shook herself awake.
"Sorry, Rinko. I was just resting my eyes. Dear Lord, they ache. Oh, Rinko, what have you done? That egg was putty for your tea. What a waste."
I was only trying to be helpful, I protested. "You've been up all night and you look so tired."
"I'm used to going without sleep. Here, you'd better have the egg now. You can't go to school on an empty stomach."
"I made it for you," I said. "I thought it would be a lovely surprise. I'm not touching it." I didn't go to school on an empty stomach. Akari gave me a potato cake, piping hot from the pan. "I wish I lived with you, Akari," I said.
"There now, child, your auntie look after you beautifully. You're always so perfectly turned out, you put my scruffy lot to shame,"
she said. "She never makes me potato cakes, and she's always cross with me," I said.
"It's because she's so busy making all them lovely frocks. I dare say she's a bit particular, but it must be hard for her, bringing you up by herself."
"It's hard for me," I said, but I was starting to feel guilty.
"Ruby, Akari, the school bus is here. Come get it."
"Okay, Dad."
I was so happy at the end of the day that I shot out of the door the second we finished singing our goodbye prayer. "Ruby, I'm back," I called as I ran in the door. Ruby didn't answer. I went to her workroom. She wasn't there. Perhaps she was having a much needed nap. No, she wasn't in her bedroom either. Not in my room or the kitchen. She wasn't outside in the lavvy. She wasn't anywhere. Ruby was always there. Where could she have gone? "Ruby? Ruby?" I called, though I knew perfectly well that she wasn't in the Jewel Cafe. I felt so panicky that I was nearly crying. "Pull yourself together, Rinko," I said, in Ruby's voice. "She'll be back in a minute. Now put the kettle on and arrange those primroses in a little vase, they're wilting already." I did as I told myself and set the tea brewing in the pot, covering it with the patchwork cozy to keep it warm. The cozy was made of little pieces from long ago dresses, velvet and grosgrain and cambric for customers, serviceable serge from mother's clothes and cotton from mine. There was even a patch from my favorite violet gown, red roses and sprays of blue forget-me-nots in a pale blue background. My tummy started rumbling. I'm so hungry. "What inside this box? Is it vegetable stew of jacket potatoes?"
"Never,"
she said.
"Look."
She opened the box. There was a loaf of bread, a slab of butter keeping cool on a dock leaf, a big wet gift cheese, 2 thick slices of pink ham, half an apple tart and 2 ginger parkins. "It's a feast," I said, round-eyed. I went to bed that night and read The Story of the Treasure Seekers from start to finish. The Story of the Treasure Seekers was one of my favorites. I loved the part where Oswald explains that his mother is dead, and they all miss her terribly, though they don't often mention it. I loved it when the children tried to make their fortune too. Sadly, none of them seemed at all sensible, and they were forever getting into scraped. Same happens with my great-grandmother. I don't know who Ruby is, but I still love her though.